Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Sully's Models, and in this video we're going to predominantly looking at painting our P-51 Mustang for the challenge build. So what we're going to be looking at is pre-shading, or what I generally call is basically panel lining. In my case I do what I call reverse panel lining. Not sure if that's technically a thing, but we'll get onto that in a minute. We'll also be looking at the decals as well, so that's predominantly what's going to be in this video. Now, very quickly going back a little bit, if this is the first time you're watching this video and haven't seen any of the other videos on this P-51 Mustang, I will put the links into those videos below. Also, one in particular is all about the challenge build of this P-51 between me and two of the other guys from my work. So without further ado, we'll quite literally just jump straight into this, so I'll see you in a second. So like I said, we're starting off with what I call pre-shading. So basically we paint the model black, matte black, and then with a light sort of white or grey colour, do loads of little squiggles, and we'll end up with something like this in the finish. I tend to find it doesn't make too much difference if you slightly overspray on the panel lines, because it subdues it slightly. So on the nose I decided to mask it out rather than using the decal, because I think it's going to mix in with the model better, particularly as the fact that we've had to paint the nose cone the yellow and red anyway. With the decal might look a little bit shiny. So based it yellow first because it's the lighter colour. I've put all the checkerboarding on and then remove the red ones afterwards. I just find this is just a lot easier. It's very time consuming, but then spray it red and then very gently remove the masking for the yellow, and you know, just be very careful. So it says gently peeling away. Oh, well, that's good, isn't it? Okay, not to worry. We can we'll go over that again later. I'll sand it down and put another couple of coats on. Although that is very annoying. So next we'll move on to the invasion stripes. I'm not going to show you the whole process because it's pretty boring, but basically again the same as the checkerboarding, base it white, measure out all our stripes, and then fill in all the black ones, because obviously, you know, trying to put a white coat over a black is a lot of hard work. So lightly misting it over. I don't want this too perfect particularly, even though I think these type of invasion stripes are actually more painted properly than the ones that we use for D-Day, which are a very rushed job. So yeah, we'll go over this with the black, and then, you know, we get this. Oh, I love this bit. We could watch this for hours. Tell you what, we'll just watch this bit. How satisfying is that? There's nothing like, you know, peeling away those masks after you've hand painted that. So yeah, but still, you know, a nice finish there. So after that, we'll mask off the invasion stripes and then go over the bottom part of the aircraft using this is actually neutral grey from Tamiya. If you want the coding, it's XF53, and obviously we'll do our small parts as well. So next we'll move on to the top coat. Now I'm using a brand new airbrush here. I'll leave the description of this in the description below. This is a Fender airbrush, works for very sort of fine lines, as you can see there. Great for doing these sort of blends between the bottom and top coat with not much major overspray, so you get a nice slight feathering. But so yeah, we sort of line it out at the bottom very gently, and then what I did is I filled out the majority above, because I use my bog standard airbrush to do the major top coat. And again the same across the tail. You see this airbrush gives you a nice thin line, no major overspray, and it's great for these sort of details, and even finer details, sorry. But you can see, gives us a nice lovely finish. And then it says moving on with my larger airbrush to fill in, you know, the major parts of the top coat. And there we go. I'm sure you agree, that looks pretty damn good. So next I'm going to do the fuel filler caps. I've mashed out a small circle using some brass etched circles, so I could cut these out very nicely, and pretty much the exact same size as the filler caps. So using again my newer airbrush, what I'll do is I'll keep spraying it, and every so often just spray just pure air. This will dry the paint a little bit quicker, as the fact that we're only putting light coats over the top anyway. So that little burst of just air will dry it quicker and get this sort of part of the process moving a lot quicker. And there you go, nice perfect red filler cap. So I did have a little bit of overspray. Obviously clearly did not make sure my masking was down properly, but that was easily sorted out later on. Flaps, again all this I've masked out. There is decals for that red marking there. Also on the ends I've kept sort of the primer coat underneath, because sometimes the way these were painted the flaps would have been up. So next I've masked out, I don't know actually the actual word name for these parties, but basically it just shows you the level that your flaps are down, because they do go in percentage, you know, sort of like, we'll say like a 20% degree flap, I think that's right. So I paint that white first, put a couple of thin strips of mask over, paint them black, and we will then get our you know, flat markings. So next we'll move on to glossing. This is going to help us applying our decals, and basically if you position them a bit dodgy, well, they haven't gone on very well, this smooths out the entire finish of the aircraft and makes it so much easier to adjust the decals. So we'll start with micro setting solution. So basically we will plonk a chunk of this on where our decal is going to go. Obviously we'll soak our decal in water. Actually what helps, quick little tip, is actually using warm water. It makes the decals come off a lot quicker, and well, it just makes them a lot quicker, to be honest. It makes no other difference whatsoever. But yeah, putting this solution on again will help you manipulate your decal into place. It'll also sort of set it, you know, onto the model as well. Afterwards, just give it another wipe over with the brush, try and get it to start setting into some of them recesses. After that, get a bit of kitchen towel and then take away some of the excess. Afterwards, what I tend to do is I'll give it a bit of a rub over and try and start get that to actually sit in better of the inlays on your panels. Next I'll put a load of microsol on. Microsol actually starts to soften the decal, which makes it a little bit easier for you to make it sit properly into the recesses, panels, and you know, other lumps and bumps. What I sometimes tend to do afterwards is with a slightly stiffer brush, you know, try and force it in a little bit more, but obviously you're going to be quite careful. As you might be able to see there, I actually managed to split the decal there, so you want to be quite careful with this part, because as I says, it really does soften the decal, particularly with if you've got decals that are actually quite thin. And then the last little bit I tend to do just before it completely dries out, with a cocktail stick or something with a fairly blunt end, start to really push the decals into those grooves. When you come to putting stuff like washes on, you know, you want those grooves to be very predominant. So there you go, guys, that's the painting and decals done. So in the next video we'll actually be looking pretty much to predominantly solely on weathering the model. So if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. I very much appreciate the support. You can also support us more by obviously subscribing to the channel, also liking us on Facebook and on Instagram as well. So thank you very much, guys. Hope you may have picked some stuff up from the video, but yeah, thanks very much, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.